All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I really appreciate you guys being here. And if you're not here as of yet, I know you're on your way. So uh, sit back, relax, and allow me to present to you. I don't know if you want to call it a vision, but at the very least, um, a prediction and one that emboldens the truth versus a lie. Recently, Trump had made the uh, threat that if Hamas did not release all of the hostages, and not one, two, three, four, five, all of them, then they will be using the mother of all bombs. Now, you know that bomb contains 12 to 14 tons of dynamite. That's like on a scale of Nagasaki times 10. And I found it to be very odd, so to speak, very um, threatening. But it's as if Trump is using a gun with blanks in it. Now, I don't know, but according to what I've seen so far, and the ultimate time to release the hostages was today at 12. I don't know if that's Eastern Standard Time, whatever the case may be, but it's well past that now. So it's really up to, according to what Trump was saying, that it's in the hands of Netanyahu, but they are going to provide, uh, you know, the bomb um, for Netanyahu to drop. It's called the mother of all bombs. And to be honest with you, I'm just too far gone to even try to assume what may happen or the effect of a bomb 10 times the strength of the Nagasaki and Hiroshima bomb on a little place with, I think, might be containing 1.9 million people in it. But you know what? I'm going to let that go for a second because I really wanted to read to you guys what I wrote on X to Donald Trump. And it says, what I wrote was, it has come to my attention that you are planning to devastate the Gaza Strip, where the real Semites live and known as the Palestinians with the MOAB bomb. It is my hope that you consider this foolishness and do the right thing and make Palestine a one-state solution that it deserves. It is apparent that you are either delusional, stupid, or a psychopath to allow the indiscriminate killing to continue under the banner of a fake state of Israel that never received the status of a state to exist by the UN Security Council, and that these fake Jews like Netanyahu don't deserve their homeland when in fact they are not real Jews. Mr. President, it is my prediction and warning to you that to do anything else to the real children of Israel, the real Jews, the real Israelites, will mean the destruction of our home country of the USA. I am warning you, Mr. President, and advising you to not do this, or you will face a devastating disaster along the Madrid or the new Madrid fault that will cripple America as we know it. Along the Madrid or New Madrid fault are nuclear power plants that will make that area uninhabitable for centuries and changing the geography of America forever, while killing tens of millions at the least. Leave Palestine in peace and allow the Palestinians to have their rightful homeland as a one-state solution, not a two-state. Mr. President, I have the utmost respect for the presidency of the United States of America, and that I know if anyone who occupies that office must be a man or woman of immense integrity, honesty, with rightfulness, wise and understanding and knowledgeable. The pure arrogance and false pride of your heart in being so-called white had led you white people down the road of your own destruction, despite the warnings that will lead you people to serve as a footstool to the real children of Israel, who are the black people of the world. The sins of your heart and the actions of your ancestors will forever be a curse upon your children, all of humanity, or eternity. For the sins of the parents are always cast or visited upon the offspring. Mr. President, prepare for your own destruction and total destruction of the future generation of you white people. For the stench of your pride has reached the nostrils of heaven, and you people shall reap the whirlwind. Handwriting is on the wall, and it is said, so shall it is, so shall it, so it is, and as it is written, so shall it be. That's what I wrote. Now, I'm talking about the San Madrid Fault, which is an earthquake line, just like the one in California. I think it's the Madrid Fault. No, not the Madrid. San Andreas Fault that did 50,000 square miles of damage in the early 1900s. Compare that to today. If it happens, it's not an if, but when it happens, the new Madrid Fault uh, will do, and as it did before in the 1860s, because there was nothing there. There was no home, no nothing, no buildings, anything, highways, byways, water systems, nothing. If that happened today, it will overwhelm our country, emergency services. The earthquake that happened along the New Madrid Fault did 1,000,000 square miles of damage, changed the course of the Mississippi, raised the course of the Mississippi up by 15 feet, and went all the way up to and through Chicago, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. Just imagine what would happen or what will happen if that earthquake happened today. Devastating. Millions, if not tens of millions of people would die. That area would not be inhabitable for a very long time. Now combine that with an earthquake that can happen in California as it did in the early 1900s. And not only that, I am thinking about um, the, uh, let me see, hold on, let me see, Seattle has a mountain that is ready to blow. Um, check that um, and look that up. Seattle, Washington. Okay? Seattle, Washington mountain will blow. Mountain, see what that brings. Okay, now um, that mountain is called, um, let me see, Mount St. Helens. Mount St. Helens. It is predicted, not a if, but a when, that Mount St. Helens will take off and explode. That will bring devastation to the northwest part of the country. That will be on the verge of extermination. We're talking about millions of people again being buried under 3 or 4 feet of ash. And that explosion can go as far west as California, all of the ash that will come from that, and as far as Chicago. But as it dissipates, it gets less and less of a threat. But right in that area, in Seattle, Washington, it is deemed to happen. Now, God forbid that all of those things happen at once or happen one after the other. But either way, go one or all three will be practically the end of America as we know it. And we're not talking about nuclear bombs that if those get uh, destroyed, then will they go off? Will those areas become more uninhabitable? Not only from the earthquake, but from the nuclear fallout. Not only from the nuclear power plants, which are about 15 of those on the New Madrid Fault, but we're talking about underground. How can we deal with that? In what way can we deal with it? And you just cannot. It will definitely, definitely overwhelm our emergency system, and it will wreak havoc on our soil. So, with that being said, I wanted to show you a map because here you can see where there are 15 nuclear reactors on the New Madrid Fault. And this is what they're predicting to be the change in America, not only from that, but from all of the water that will be coming in from those areas that have been hit by uh, the earthquake. Now here, let's see where Seattle, Washington is. Where's Seattle? Seattle, Wyoming, Iowa, over here. It's somewhere over here. I don't know. But that mountain, St. Helens, if it goes off, we're talking about a massive explosion to the tune of about 3 nuclear weapons that hit Nagasaki. It would be devastating. So we got Montana, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, North Nebraska. Oh, here it is. So it's right here. It's right there on the west coast. And all of that plume and ash, we're talking about 3 to 6 feet of ash that's going to be covering Oregon and Idaho and Montana, all the way over to Chicago. And as you can see, the water that's going to be coming in is going to devastate all of this area, from Chicago, from Illinois to Minnesota, a good part of that, Maryland, Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia will be hit by that earthquake, and Louisiana will be virtually, that will be totally underwater to whatever degree that might be, you know. Uh, but it's going to be devastating. I just wanted to bring that to you guys' attention. So tonight, as I had wrote to President Trump, and making my voice as clearly as I could make it, or as clear as I could make it, that it is not to our benefit to continue to disrespect, to denounce, to deny, and to denigrate a people within our borders and outside of our borders, and even in the diaspora, known as the Israelites, will continue to suffer at the hands of people who are not even Jews. Now, I know for a fact that there is a political, economic, spiritual, and uh, and political narrative that's going to be changing. And we're not talking about 20, 30 years, but we're talking within 5 years that the world is going to have to recognize who the real Jews are. And there's political, economic, and repercussions and or reparation that need to be paid. The people who are getting that are not even real Jews. And this is the whole point of my argument for tonight, that the world is waking up to who and what is really true. And there are three things that you cannot hide forever: the sun, the moon, and the truth. And I find it to be laughable for the simple fact that, uh, it becomes uh, somewhat of a joke, so to speak, But the joke is on the people who are trying to play it. Hold on for a second. Who are trying to play it to the end, knowing that their demise is in the plan. I've always been one to know and to believe, and I was taught by my parents, and it plays it out, that you always reap what you sow in the end. The sins that a mother and father are always visited upon their children, also their blessing. But white people, as you will know today, and my discussion with the animal that I hate to the very core of my being, because they are the epitome of the seven deadly sins: greed, gluttony, sloth, envy, pride, wrath, and lust. With that kind of cocktail of negativity, you're not going to have nothing but bad things happening to you. Because once the world wakes up to who you really are, what you really are, and how you really are, and what you've done to the world, it's game over. The white man's pride has blinded him to his own destruction. And that these so-called fake Jews or white ones like Netanyahu and Yoav Galan, if I'm saying that correctly, and other officials in the so-called Israel government, which is not even a real government because it was never given status as a state by the UN Security Council. Number one. Number two, that whole area, it was done and put into a trust, a WAF, by our Moorish ancestors. Number three, the real Jews have always been black, will always be black. That cannot be denied. And what I want to show tonight is what Traore was saying, So let me get back to this, and I'm going to bring up the share screen, all right? Right at it. I don't think we'll be here for too much, really short. So I really wanted to focus in on uh, the evidences, because you know me by now. I like to bring in all of the evidence, all of the circumstances, all of the people who are pertinent to a given situation, and make it known that this is what is happening, and to the best of my ability, based on what I'm seeing, based on what I'm hearing, is that Traore and others and around the world are becoming aware of who the Jews are and what that means. It it's beyond your wildest imagination. But that means that the world will have to repair, repair the damage that's been done to the real Jews, the real Israelites. And that these so-called fake Jews are nothing but fake Jews. There's a political, economic, and uh, narrative that need to be changed, or historical narrative that need to be changed to reflect the continent of Africa, the Middle East, which is Northeast Africa, and the Jews of Portugal and Spain and around the world, as we were uh, spread out. Not lost, but spread out. And that can be quite devastating when you've been living a lie. If you're white and you're a Jew, you've been living a lie. Calling yourself a Jew, you're not a Jew, but you're disparaging real Jews. And that can't go on. It has never gone on. It never will go on. It'll go on for a second. Spread enjoy the sunlight, because your ancestors truly did. They went on a rampage of murder, rape, pillage, and destruction. Because in all honesty, white folks love that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that in my mind. They've always been like that. They're going to take the black man to put the white man into his place, as we did in Egypt, Greece, and Rome, and now. 3 strikes and you're out. There's no more. Our societies, our nations, our countries, our continents can no longer afford the venom of hate, unbridled hate, unbridled love of death that these white people love to do. So with that being said, I'm going to go to the first video, about 20 minutes long. I'm going to let it play out. And this is Traore, the landlord and the Torah. Hold on. What the hell is it? Hold on.
At SNC, we offer a job that not only pays up 300 pesos per hour, but also provides paid.
Burkina Faso is witnessing a groundbreaking moment in its history. In a bold and unprecedented move, Captain Ibrahim Traore and his government have declared that all land within the nation now belongs to the state. This monumental decision, made during a cabinet meeting attended by President Traore and all ministers, is set to transform land ownership, governance, and economic development. But what does this really mean for the people of Burkina Faso? What are the motivations behind such a drastic shift? And how will this impact farmers, businesses, and foreign interests? Stay with us as we break it all down. But before then, watch the video till the end to see what President Trump will say about this land reform after attacking South Africa for their own land reform. So, here's the announcement that shook Burkina Faso. On February 5th, the Council of Ministers approved a bill that has reshaped the landscape of land ownership in Burkina Faso. The Minister of Economy, Abubakar Nakanabo, made it official. The objective is to optimize land management and strengthen the central role of public authorities in this strategic sector. This statement alone is enough to send shockwaves throughout the country and beyond. For decades, land ownership in Burkina Faso was based largely on customary rights, where communities controlled and allocated land according to traditional norms. Now, with a single law, the state has assumed full control. But why? What is the real motive behind this landmark decision? Is this a power grab, or is there a deeper strategic plan at play? Before diving into the potential impacts, let's clarify an important distinction. Under customary ownership, land belonged to communities and was passed down through generations. Families and clans had a sense of ownership and security over the lands they tilled and lived on. However, this system often led to land disputes, lack of clear documentation, and vulnerability to exploitation by powerful elites. Now, with the state assuming control, the government can issue regulatory acts granting the management of land to local authorities and individuals. A new land tenure system will introduce long-term leases ranging from 18 to 99 years for agricultural and developmental purposes. While customary rights will still be recognized through rural land possession certificates, the government now holds the power to regulate and oversee land use with a centralized vision. Why did Traoré take this drastic step? Ibrahim Traoré is a leader on a mission. His government is determined to restructure Burkina Faso's economic foundation, ensuring that resources are optimized for national development. One of the key provisions of this law is the restriction on foreigners acquiring property titles on rural land. Across Africa, powerful foreign entities, including multinational corporations and foreign governments, have acquired vast tracts of land at the expense of local communities. By placing land under state control, Traoré is effectively cutting off this avenue for exploitation.
Great to have everybody. Welcome again and happy Sabbath. So I don't know whether you saw that opening video that I featured, right? And I tell you, family, things are just jumping off the page. The prophecies are jumping off the page every day. And the Northern Kingdom is waking up, right? The Northern Kingdom is waking up in Africa, led by the three stars of Judah, of West Sub-Sahara, and it is just great to see. It is great to see, right? So now, according to this video that we just played, and of course, you know, this is not my work, so credit goes to that channel. But that presentation again proves, right, that great things are happening, and leader, elder, Traoré is on the ball. He's standing on business and he is doing it right. Okay? He's doing it right. And by the way, family, there's a scripture for that. There's a scripture for that. In fact, last week when we featured the turning of the curses where South Africa was concerned, where that they have made laws to expatriate lands that were held by people who could not prove how they came by those lands, or whether they had paid a fair price for those lands, and that those lands would be expatriated without any compensation. And a lot of people are very upset about it, right? But we don't care. We don't care. And now we see, again, our brother Ibrahim Traoré is doing something similar, right? but still different, very different. And I think the way that he is doing it is the right way. It's the right way, scriptural. I know that there are other African countries also with similar policies, and I don't know why this would be a big deal because there are other countries in Africa that have um, the same laws concerning the land. This one is beautiful. I'm hoping that them other countries will also join to do the same thing, right? That is to make the land be the property of the state.
Hold on.
Excuse me, sir. Can you tell me where the car rental desks are? Oui, bah écoutez, pas de problème.
And that the land can only be leased, but never sold outright. I know that there are some people who will say, it shouldn't be like that. And if you say it shouldn't be like that, it's because you don't know the law. And I find it very interesting that our brother Ibrahim Traore did what he did. Right? I find it very interesting. I'm going to go to the book of the law and I'm going to read the law concerning the land, and you're going to see that what he's doing is the right thing. You also will see that any other African country that has this policy is following the biblical principle and it is right. We don't care what Esau says, right? Because Esau all of a sudden is upset, but was never upset for the last 500 years when they took the land, killed as many people as was necessary for them to take it, and then they oppressed the people for all this time, and nothing was wrong with it until we started to do something about it, right? But we're going to continue to do this because the land is our possession. And all the wealth that is beneath our feet, the Lord said, I will give it to you as a possession. And this is where we are today. And the prophecies are just jumping off the page, family. Pay attention to what's happening in Africa, because that's where the 10 tribes are. That's where the 12 tribes are. The residue of Judah is there, raising up the 10 tribes, which is what we're seeing happening today, right? And we hear it in the rest of the world that's scattered. We say the diaspora, even though all Israel is in the diaspora. All Israel is in the diaspora. But we should support what is happening in Africa. We should support it with our prayers, right? And we should support it morally because it is right. We should send our energies across the Atlantic to our brethren on the mainland. And this message that we are teaching should go also to the four corners of the earth. Wake up our people that they'll have the proper understanding of their identity.
Brother Judah.
All right, and I'm very excited. Yes, brother. I'll take your comment. Go ahead.
Yeah, it would be very interesting if
Yes.
seven more sub-Saharan African countries join that 3 stars to make it 10.
Yes.
Then I think those Israelite camps could be like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Like, we have 10 stars in Africa, that is 10 tribes,
Yeah, but 3 of those stars though would represent Judah. I understand this that Judah is the 3 stars. So we just need all 12. We just need all 12. But 10 is still good, right?
Yeah,
and it's going to happen. Yeah, it's going to happen, man. It's going to happen, right? So we look forward to it, and let us continue to support our brothers and sisters in Africa and talk to our African brethren, let them know that we are their brethren. And remember that the envy between Ephraim and Judah shall depart, and Judah shall no longer vex Ephraim. As Brother Traore said, that the people must love each other. That is what we need. We need to love each other. All right, thank you so much, family. All right, so here's the law, family. Here's the law. Here's the law concerning the land. You can't sell it. Leviticus 25. Here, the law of redemption. This leasing is the law of redemption. You can lease it for 99 years, and at the end of the 99 years, we'll decide what to do with it, but you don't own it. Right, Leviticus 25 and verse 23. The land shall not be sold forever. You hear that? This is the lease. You can lease it for 50 years, 30 years, 99 years, but you cannot buy it forever. For the land is mine. This is what Traore is doing. And if Ghana has this policy, they're right about it. And any other African country that has this leasing policy, they're right. But no foreign entity can come and buy your land. Like Bill Gates is buying farmland and you own them. No, you can lease it, but not buy it. It says, the land is mine, for ye are strangers and sojourners with me. By the way, we are no strangers and sojourners in the land of our enemies. And in Africa, where we are, where we went to, where never mankind dwelt, the Lord says, I will give you those lands. He says that anywhere your feet have trodden, I'll give it to you as a possession.
Seguimos expandiéndonos. Ya Puerto Plata está conectada a la fibra óptica de Claro para que disfrutes de una mejor experiencia.
Traore is doing the right thing. Verse 24 says, and all the land of your possession, you shall grant a redemption for the land. You see that? And if thy brother be waxed poor and has sold away some of his possession, if any of thy kin come to redeem it, then shall he redeem that which his brother sold. You see that? You can get it back. And if the man have none to redeem it, and he himself be able to redeem it, then let him count the years of the sale thereof, and restore the overplus unto the man to whom he sold it, that he may return unto his possession. If he be not able to restore it to him, then then that which is sold shall remain in the hands of him that hath bought it. When? Until how long? Until the year of the Jubilee. Can't own it forever. And in the Jubilee, it shall go out, and he shall return unto his possession. If a man sell a dwelling house in a walled city, now this also is the leasing thing. Why is it talking about a walled city? Now you're selling a house in a walled city. Why? Because that walled city is a municipality. And if you buy a house within it, this is what happens. Then he may redeem it with a whole year after he sold it. So you can say, I let you have it for a year. Within a full year, he may redeem it. He'll come back after 1 year and say, no, pack up and go. Your lease is up. And if it be not redeemed within the space of a full year, then the house that is in the walled city shall be established forever with him that bought it throughout his generation, and it shall not go to the Jubilee. So properties within that municipality cannot go out, cannot be sold outside of it. You buy something in it, you remain in it. Because it belongs to the municipality. This is what Traore is doing. He's saying that all the land belongs to the government. That's the municipality. And anybody that comes in can use the land. You can have agreements about the land. You can lease the land, but you cannot own it. Take it out of the municipality. He must be reading this. The house of the village which have no wall round about them shall be counted as the fields of the country. They may be redeemed, and they shall not go out in the Jubilee. Notwithstanding the cities of the Levites, you hear this now, this is even more special. And the house of the cities of their possession may the Levites redeem at any time. Not no 10 years, not no 5 years. I want it tomorrow. Let's settle it tomorrow. The Levite wants back his house. And if a man purchase of the Levite, then the house that is sold and the city of the possession shall go out in the year of the Jubilee. The year that you have to give it back. For the house of the cities of the Levites are their possession amongst them forever. It's among them for the children of Israel, right? But the field and the suburbs and the city may not be sold. Hear that, family? For it is their perpetual possession. This is the law of redemption and ownership and possession that Abraham Traore is instituting Burkina Faso. I hope Niger sees this and follows, and Mali, and any other country that joins the AES. I tell your family, this AES is the ensign. Will bring all the nations under one governance. I pray that we live to see it. Pray that we live to see it. This is scripture. This is the Bible. This is the law. And the Lord gave us this law while we were in the wilderness before we came into the land. It's beautiful to see. When I heard this thing, I was like, "God praise Yahweh." I was like, I couldn't believe it. They're trying to tell me that this man is not from Yahweh. This protects all the people of Burkina Faso, from France especially, right? From France, and I don't like France because of the evil that they've done to our people. France especially. When I looked at the colonization map, France owned most of Africa, followed by Britain. And I tell you, Britain, you watch it, you next. The British are next. It is great to see, family. Great to see. Leviticus 25 and verse 23. The land shall not be sold forever. It can only be leased. Yahweh knew this from the very beginning. Otherwise, you know that the Egyptians would come and buy away the land of Israel and dispossess us. This is why this law exists, and it is proper. And I don't care what DJ Trump believes. We follow Yahweh and not man. All right, so there you have it, family. There you have it.
So, let me get rid of that. Okay, well, he's not going to be able to be on tonight. All right. So, I wanted to bring that up before I go on to, and I hate this music. Before I go on to Chikambuso, who created a new technology that doesn't need to be recharged, oil, gas, anything. It runs on what he calls it to be microsonic energy technology. And I thought that was very, very, very interesting. But it speaks volumes to our people that we can just have it like that. That we can make anything out of nothing and nothing out of anything. We're just genius like that. And that speaks volumes to our creativity and our very nature is out of the universe. We are the black universe filtered down from the heavens in human form. There's a special relationship between us and the black universe and us. And so I'm going to go on to this video to give you the insight of what I am seeing that is happening in and across Africa and the diaspora and and all parts of the world. And it speaks of our rising political, economic, and historical narrative and currency that has been in the pocket of the white people, as we know them to be today, because they're not white, they're not European, they're not Anglo-Saxon, they're not, Caucasian. It just bleeped out nigger. Troglodyte is the scientific name for these people. And it just behooves to me. And we talked about this. I don't know if you're here, Brother Muhammad, but we talked about this with Sister Cassie. Hold on, let me go back to that. To Sister Cassie last Sunday in regard to being under a curse. And we are. That curse is ignorance. And if all you've ever known was white is great, black is negative or bad, it's going to take a long time. It really depends. But I don't want to say, well, it's take a long time to do this, do that. But on Brother Maurice's show and my show, I tell it like it is. And I don't give a fuck about somebody's feelings and emotions about Martin Luther King Jr. and all that bullshit. And the fact that the 1968 Civil Rights Act, not law, that was written into so-called law through an executive order. I've kept hell for that, but I know I'm right because I am dealing with people who probably heard that a long time ago, like been years now, and they're like, "Oh, you don't know what he's talking about? He's not no historical PhD holder, man, motherfucker." And it don't take no goddamn PhD to just have common sense. Now, I'm not the smartest person, historically speaking, as far as that goes. But you ain't beating me with common sense. No, you're not. No, you're not. And no, you're not. I got a hell of a lot of common sense. I don't know if I'm the most intelligent and elephant in the room, but you ain't gonna find nobody on this fucking earth. Nobody on this fucking earth that got more sense than I got. None. And if there is somebody like that, yeah, I want to meet him or her. No, I'm not. I'm not hurt by that. I want to improve it so I can stay on top. You feel me? But this is where we at. And to break that curse of ignorance about our ancestors, that got to be done. Hard work, reading and analyzing and thinking and reading more and more and more and more until you get the basics down. Until you begin to communicate with our ancestors from the inside out, from the outside in. That you connect back to that acoustic record. That you are aware of our ancestors in every moment of your life, throughout the day, week, month, year, decade, up to however long God deemed you to be alive, and that you have that control as well. But the idea is that we are not so far away from our ancestors, but far enough to make us think that we ain't shit. And that's because, excuse me, on a very slow drip IV bag of ignorance, IV bag of foolishness that we have been injected time and time again, at generation after generation after generation of our ancestors and our great power that we have. That is that is just bursting rather, I should say, to move forward. And this brother here dropped out of high school. I dropped out of grade school. Never went to high school, college, or got into a engineering degree, college, or anything. This man, Chikambusa, has revolutionized technology with his microsonic energy technology, where it runs your home, where it runs your car without any petroleum, without any recharge station like the Tesla does. and it literally bankrupt the petroleum industry, bankrupt Tesla, bankrupt a whole lot of other things that we are dependent upon to power our lives every day. This one can even, and I'm sure he's probably working on it, or they are working on it, can power your cell phone, where you don't need to have a battery. Because I can tell you my iPhone, I need a battery right now because I think if I'm lucky, it lasts about 45 minutes before we go down to zero. I don't know what the hell. And I got a new battery. And so I don't know what the hell going on. But anyway, I want to play this video of our brother Chikumbutso out of Zimbabwe and his car. Now, I done put in for the car. I mean, I hoping that I can get some kind of response in regard to buying it and having it shipped here to the Dominican Republic. I'll be one happy camper. But let me go on and play it up, and then I will be right back.
Generator, and even a helicopter that ran on radio frequencies, a true free energy device that keeps batteries consistently charged. It took me several months to find it, but when I did, it blew my mind.
Maxwell is a testament to the boundless ingenuity that resides within our continent.
In a groundbreaking moment for Africa's technological landscape, the Harare Institute of Science and Technology, HIT, has officially endorsed one of the most revolutionary innovations in automotive history. Maxwell Sangilani Chikumbutso, the visionary founder of SAIT Technologies, has introduced the world's first self-powered vehicle, a feat that defies conventional science and positions Zimbabwe at the forefront of global energy innovation. The endorsement from IIT's Vice Chancellor, Professor Engineer Quentin Kandukamu, marks a defining moment for African ingenuity and technological advancement. Addressing an audience of delegates at the unveiling of Chikumbutso's latest invention, Professor Kandukamu's words carried the weight of both scientific credibility and national pride. Here's what this great professor of engineering from one of Africa's leading tech universities said.
Innovation has always been the driving force behind humanity's progress. As we confront the mounting challenges of energy scarcity, environmental degradation, and economic inequality, technology offers a beacon of hope. It is a privilege to stand before you today at this remarkable occasion, the launch of SAIT Technologies' groundbreaking microsonic energy technology. We gather here not only to celebrate
Hold on.
La gente no hace las preguntas adecuadas y no las hacen porque creen que ya
technological milestone, but to witness the dawn of a new chapter in energy innovation, born and developed right here on the African soil. For far too long, Africa has been seen as a consumer rather than a producer of technological advancements. SAIT Technologies is changing that narrative. This launch symbolizes a shift towards homegrown solutions designed to meet global challenges. What makes today even more significant is that this breakthrough has been pioneered by one of our own, Maxwell Sangilani Chikumbutso. Maxwell is a testament to the boundless ingenuity that resides within our continent. His work serves as an inspiration not only to Zimbabwe, but to the entire African continent. Supporting local innovators like Maxwell is not just a moral imperative, it is a strategic necessity for our development and competitiveness on the global stage.
This speech has significant implications. Professor Engineer Quentin Kandukamu, the Vice Chancellor of the esteemed Harare Institute of Science and Technology, put his distinguished and indispensable scientific career as well as his unrivaled authority as a highly sought-after engineer to fully support Zimbabwe's leading innovator, Maxwell Sangilani Chikumbutso.
The first people who have done that in the world. Like us or hate us, that's a fact. We have seen it, we have tested it, it was tested outside the country, it works. So what we have is called a microsonic energy device. But before I got to the microsonic energy device, like where we are right now, Around 2018, that's 2003, that's when God gave me the vision. I started to work on it. And that time I was working on 3 projects. I began to be very much interested in radio frequencies. And I'm so good in radio frequencies. That's something that I know back to back. You cannot confuse me when you talk about radio frequencies. I've sat down with the best professors, best engineers in the world, the likes of Nassim Haramein, if you know him. I've sat down with him in the radio frequencies of America. I've sat with the likes of Michael, the great writers of science. They don't believe that I'm not educated. I'm good when you talk about radio frequencies. I'm so good in that. Most of my projects, I'm not boasting, but I'm telling you, you cannot confuse me when you talk about radio frequencies. And I'm good on that. I've started to write my new discoveries.
But who exactly is Maxwell Sangulani Chikumbutso, the man behind this extraordinary breakthrough? Born in 1980 in Budiriro, a densely populated suburb of Harare, Chikumbutso's early years were marked by immense financial struggles. His family's economic hardships forced him to drop out of school at the tender age of 14, halting his formal education. Yet what he lacked in academic credentials, he more than made up for in raw intelligence, relentless curiosity, and an innate ability to innovate. Unlike traditional inventors who built upon structured academic learning, Chikumbutso's knowledge was entirely self-taught. With no access to laboratories or engineering mentors, he worked with discarded electronic components, using them to create rudimentary devices. One of his earliest successes was a makeshift radio transmitter that successfully broadcast over a limited range. This was only the beginning. As a teenager, he went on to design a digital navigator, a turbine engine, and a series of electronic devices that left those around him in awe. His ability to conceptualize and build advanced systems without formal training astounded engineers and scientists alike. Chikumbutso has often attributed his breakthroughs to divine inspiration. He claims that many of his inventions were not the result of trial and error, but rather clear, vivid instructions he received in his dreams.
I started to see visions, and up to until now, I see visions, very clear visions, not even when I'm not asleep. Those are some of the things that I see. And God started to teach me, I believe. God started to teach me. I could hear voices. I started to experiment with some electronic components. No one ever taught me what were the names and the uses of electronic components. It was God.
He describes these moments as revelations, granting him deep insights into energy systems and engineering principles that defied mainstream scientific understanding.
I'm going to stop it there because I didn't hear this before. So he was saying that his improvement on microsonic, not improvement like it existed before, but his whole setup was not based on trial and error. It came from God. Guys, once we turn back to our ancestors and start to listen to the inner voice within us, we can't help but to see all the smoke and mirror that white folks been playing and doing goes away. And what is left is your pure nature of our ancestors, your pure nature of you, which is a reflection of them. We are our ancestors, but it's been covered up, smeared with stench and shit of lies that you gotta let that go. You really do. Let's continue.
In the late 1990s, he intensified his experiments in electronics, developing a variety of functional devices from scrap materials. His work soon pivoted towards sustainable energy solutions, culminating in the invention of the microsonic energy device in
Hold on.
Solo necesitas el nombre de tu proyecto para dar el primer paso. Registra el dominio perfecto y
2009. The microsonic energy device, according to Chikumbutso, harnesses radio frequencies from the atmosphere and converts them into usable electrical energy. This technology, when applied to automobiles, eliminates the need for fossil fuels or rechargeable batteries. Instead, the vehicle continuously draws power from the air, ensuring an unlimited energy supply. The implications of such an invention are monumental. It challenges long-held scientific principles, particularly the first law of thermodynamics, which states that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only converted from one form to another. If proven scalable, this technology could disrupt the global automotive industry in unprecedented ways. It would render gasoline engines and lithium-ion battery-powered vehicles obsolete, offering a solution that is both eco-friendly and economically transformative. According to Chikumbutso, the prototype vehicles featuring microsonic energy technology exhibit remarkable performance metrics. Unlimited range. Unlike electric vehicles that require frequent recharging, these cars reportedly never run out of power. High-speed performance. The vehicle is capable of exceeding speeds of 220 kilometers per hour and accelerating from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 2 seconds when in sport mode. Powerful output. The motor generates 160 kilowatts, 215 horsepower, with 320 to 308 Nm of torque, comparable to standard SUVs. Energy independence. The vehicle also functions as a portable power generator, capable of supplying up to 15 kilowatts of electricity to a household when stationary.
So with this car, you can also use it to power your house. It is a moving generator. When you drive from work back to your home, you can connect your power cable, then you can power your house. It gives you 15 kilowatts power to power your house.
Such capabilities could revolutionize not only the automotive industry, but also energy access in Africa, where millions still lack reliable electricity. The potential socioeconomic benefits of mass-producing these vehicles are staggering. Lower transportation costs, reduced reliance on imported fuel, and an overall shift toward green energy solutions. However, Chikumbutso's journey has not been without adversity. He has faced immense opposition, particularly from powerful entities within the oil and automotive industries. He claims that during a visit to Silicon Valley, he and his research partner were poisoned, an event he believes was orchestrated by those who saw his work as a threat to the status quo. This allegation aligns with the historical pattern of disruptive inventors encountering resistance when challenging deeply entrenched industries. Despite these challenges, Chikumbutso's work has received widespread recognition and praise. Zimbabwean President Emerson Mnangagwa has publicly lauded him as an exceptional innovator, emphasizing the importance of supporting indigenous technological advancements. The president has revealed plans to establish a manufacturing plant in Zimbabwe dedicated to producing vehicles utilizing this groundbreaking technology, with production costs estimated at $14,000 per unit. International validation of Chikumbutso's work has also been significant. Foster Gamble, the renowned producer of the Thrive documentary series, took an interest in Chikumbutso's technology and sent scientist Nils Rodrud to Zimbabwe in 2018 to test its legitimacy. After weeks of rigorous examination, Rodrud and his team confirmed that Chikumbutso's 500 kilowatts generator operated as claimed. This momentous validation was featured in Thrive 2, a documentary released in 2020 and translated into 15 languages, bringing global attention to this pioneering African invention.
There's good corroboration that they believed he had what he claimed.
True free energy device that keeps batteries consistently charged. It took me several months to find him, but when I did, it blew my mind.
So this is the microsonic energy device, ladies and gentlemen.
With the official launch of Chikumbutso's self-powered vehicle, Zimbabwe now finds itself in the global spotlight. The potential impact of this innovation cannot be overstated. If this technology proves viable on a large scale, it could earn Zimbabwe a place among the world's leading nations in green energy and transport solutions. It would be a triumph not just for Zimbabwe, but for Africa as a whole, proving that the continent is fully capable of delivering world-class innovations that address global challenges. Maxwell Sangulani Chikumbutso's story is one of resilience, brilliance, and unyielding belief in possibility. His journey from a high-density suburb in Harare to the forefront of technological innovation serves as a beacon of inspiration for aspiring inventors across Africa and beyond.
We are talking of megawatts of power. We have done it.
If history is any indication, disruptive ideas often face skepticism before they are widely accepted. But should Chikumbutso's vision come to full fruition, his invention will not only redefine transportation, it will alter the course of energy history forever. Your perspective matters. How excited are you about the world's first free energy vehicle being invented by Zimbabwean inventor Maxwell Chikumbutso? Share your thoughts and insights in the comments section below. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the New Africa Well and turn on the notification bell so you...
All right, so here where we are. Here is where we are. There's no doubt in my mind that what Gaddafi said. Hey, brother Donald, I really appreciate you coming here. I really appreciate that. He said, are you working on getting up the deal to become like this? Man, I wish. Man, there's no telling what this does and what will it do in the future, man. But I do know one thing, which is what I was going to say, is that according to Gaddafi, he said it, that Africa will be getting off of its knees, uniting, and will take over the world. And look at what has happened. Now, I don't know how long Gaddafi been dead. I think like 10, 15 years now, Brother Donald. I might be off, but not that long ago. But here we are. And one of the things that I like about Traore is that he's bringing up the Hebrew Israelites and the recognition of who those people are in the Bible and what that means historically, politically, and economically in regard to repairing the damage that's been done and the lie that's been told and to reveal the truth. That is damning. That not only for white folks and these fucked up fake Jews, but it'll be a boon to us because we deserve it. We're talking at the very least $4 quadrillion, at least. But I'm putting that at about maybe $250 quadrillion. Just give us the whole motherfucking thing. Because if you don't give it up, we're gonna take it. Because power is not given, it is taken. And if you die, you just fucking die, motherfucker. And this is what you reap. This is what your children reap. This is what your children deserve. The sins that a father and mother are always visited upon their children. So, being the first head of state that says to pay attention to and to admit who the real Jews are of the Bible, that's not the fake Jews, and giving credit to where it belongs, will change inevitably the narrative that we've been under for the last 150 years, saying this about white folks, saying that about white folks, kind of how great they are. They ain't shit. Well, we'll try. we'll try. He said, I was under the impression that you and Brother Marie were going to get us a license deal to sell the cars. He said, I'm speaking it. I heard that. I speak it into existence, bro. That would be, yeah, that would be sweet. If we're the only one in America, oh man, you're talking about billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. Be richer than Tesla. Well, we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? So I will keep that on the map. You know, as I think about it, the more it sounds sweet to me, man. It really do. So we already know that this brother's invention, and I'm glad that he fixed it so that someone does buy the box or whatever the case it is. That if they try to open and try to figure out do a reverse engineering, it explodes. Not so much that it damaged the person who's trying to do it, but it destroys the secret of his invention. That's the reason why it's not patented, and that's the reason why the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office is not allowing him to do it, because it'd be too disruptive to the status quo. And you talking about trillions of dollars, bro. Trillions of dollars. So let me see where we are now. So this guy, George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, who lived between 1770, about 51 years, and 1831, he said, I separated Egypt from Africa, moved it to a place I made up, called the Middle East, to advance the idea that blacks were subhuman, detached from civilization, and had no history to justify the institution of slavery. These lies became educational standards throughout the Western world. So as we can see, you already know. Hold on, there's nothing here. Yeah, I love this woman. This black girl is really doing it up in tennis. But the idea is that we gotta have control over our children. Enough with handing our children over to these animals. They're not fit not only to educate their own, but to educate and to tell the truth. Because now they've been knee deep to a gopher's ass themselves in believing that they white, European, Anglo-Saxon. Excuse me. Oh, yeah, it's getting kind of late. So I gotta get in bed. Um, and everything else. They're living a life of lies and deceit that has crippled them mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And it has, as long as we continue to observe it and to listen to it and to believe it, us as well. Because we're not in our right mind at all. We're just not. So in order to undo the damage that's been done with the spell of lies and deceit that they've been telling us for I don't know how long, many generations now, at least, what, 30? Going back 150 years? I think that might be 30. It's imperative for us to do that. We were kicking ass and taking names before the civil rights movement came along. Our kids were doing way better, not 1 or 2 percentage points better, but 40, 50% better than white kids. We had our own schools, we had our own restaurants, we had our own everything, hospitals, everything, movie theaters, everything. So what I want to do, okay. So what I want to do, I want to go on to this next one about whites as sociopaths. I'm pretty sure you guys might know this guy. I don't know, I forgot his name, but it might be a lot of white people who make comments seem very angry, and the truth seems to really hurt. Yeah, that's true. But can you imagine being white and you told you and someone come along and tell you you're not white, you're not Caucasian, you're not Aryan, you're not Anglo-Saxon or European? They're looking at you like, well, I am European. I come from blah 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 blah. You come from a group that in that boundary, buddy, where black people put you in the Central Asia, where you stayed until you broke loose and came into our Holy Roman Empire and France and all of that. So no, you're none of that. Can you imagine the fallout and mental anguish that these white kids coming up now and before, finding out that they ain't shit but a pile of shit? I'll stop it there and I'll be right back.
How is it not news? And why are no candidates mentioning that according to the Department of Justice, in a study released in 2004, black and Latino males
are 3 times more likely than white males to have their cars stopped and searched for drugs, even though white males are 4.5 times more likely to actually have drugs on us on the occasion when we are stopped. Now think about that. Because that suggests that racial profiling is not just racist, we know that, that is redundant. But it's also pretty stupid ass law enforcement. Or is it? Because I guess it's only stupid if you think the purpose of the war on drugs is actually to get drugs off the street. Because if that were the purpose, putting aside whether or not we ought to deal with a medical and a health problem known as drug addiction with war metaphors in the first place, different lecture for a different night. Even if we assume that that is a good policy, let us be clear that that is not what we're fighting. We're not fighting a war on drugs because the first rule of any war is to go where the enemy is. And if the white folks are the ones with the drugs in the car and the black and brown folks are the ones getting stopped, the people fighting this war are either supremely stupid or just have really bad short-term memory. Like they keep forgetting. Oh, damn, I pulled over another guy named Martinez. I keep forgetting it's white people. It's white people. Damn it, I got to write a note and put it on the dashboard. I don't know what's wrong with me. Maybe that's it, Or maybe it's something else. I do trainings with law enforcement, not a hell of a lot, for reasons you can probably guess. And I ask law enforcement officers, what's the first thing you think when you see a young black or Latino male driving a nice car in your neighborhood? And they all, without fail and without exception, will say drug dealer. I then ask them, what's the first thing you think when you see a young white male, same age, driving the same kind of car in that same community? And they will say without exception, without hesitation, without fail, spoiled little rich kid, daddy probably bought him a car. Keep in mind, we've been together for about 90 seconds of the workshop at this point. We have 2 hours left, and they have just outed themselves as racist because what they have said is that they are making snap judgments on the basis of only color that work to the detriment of people of color, the benefit of white people. We still got 2 hours to go, so it's going to be fun from that point forward. These are people sworn to protect and to serve. It's right there on the car, right there on the side of the car. And in the first 90 seconds, they are acknowledging these racial biases. How is that not an issue? How is it not an issue that according to that Justice Department report, while black and brown folk are having their wheel wells ripped apart on the side of the road, their trunks splayed open, their dashboards ripped apart in the search for drugs which aren't even there, white people like me, notice I said like me because I'm not trying to tell you anything about me that you don't need to know and for which the statute of limitations has not yet expired, are driving by the roadblock with a trunk full of weed, and we're just waving. Because we're not suspected, therefore we're not detected, therefore we're not punished. How is that not an issue? How is it not an issue that the typical white family in America, thanks to this history, this legacy of institutionalized oppression for some and advantage and privilege for others, how is it not news that the average white family in America, not the average rich white family, the average white family has 12 times the accumulated net worth of the average African American family, 8 times the accumulated net worth of the average Latino family, in large measure because those white average families have had parents or grandparents who, even if they didn't have much, even if they were not rich, nonetheless were able to procure a little house, a little property, maybe with an FHA or a VA loan in the middle of the 20th century, loans that were all but off limits to people of color as they gave hundreds of billions of dollars worth of assets and equity to those who were white. So that even white working class families on average, even white families with less than $15,000 a year in annual income, which depending on family size, that is technically legally the poverty limit. And yet the average white family with low income, less than $15,000, has the same average net worth as the typical black family with $60,000 or more in annual income. So that even those African American families that are professional, good jobs, occupational status, good educations, etc., and pretty good incomes are still in worse shape in terms of wealth and assets, material goods, which are really what matter in the long run. Your income, if you're dependent on that, you're one paycheck away from nothing. If you don't have assets, if you don't have wealth, if you don't have something accumulated, your income means very little. In the case of an economic downturn, and these working class white families who are struggling, make no mistake about it, nonetheless are on average going to be better off than those black families with 4 times as much annual pay. How can that not be an issue? I am suggesting to you that the failure to talk about race, the failure to talk about racism and inequality on the basis of color feeds the denial that is already far too prevalent among the white community. And having been white all of my life, I've been surrounded by that denial for a very long time. A few years back, white Americans were asked whether or not we believed that racial discrimination was still a significant national problem for people of color, or whether it was just a problem, like junk mail. Wrong phone number, 2 in the morning, you can't get back to sleep, it's raining and you want to go outside for a jog, a problem. But one you'll get over, Whether it wasn't much of a problem, wasn't a problem at all, we just weren't sure. They also asked black and brown folk this question. Folks of color, it won't surprise you, said, yes, it is a significant problem, actually, and not just because I read about it in a sociology textbook. I actually have lived it and would be more than happy to tell you what kind of problem it's been, but these were pollsters, man, they didn't care about that. They just wanted the yes or no, then they were on to the next house. And they asked white folks, is it or is it not a significant national problem, racial discrimination for people of color and against people of color? And only 6%, 6 out of 100 said yes, that it was a significant national problem. Just to give you an idea of how bad that is, I would have you compare it to a survey taken a few years earlier where approximately 12% of white Americans said we believe there was a fairly decent chance that Elvis Presley might still be alive. I don't know how good you are at math. I'm not very good myself, but that's a ratio that I can calculate. What that means is that white Americans are twice as likely to believe that Elvis might still be alive than we are to believe what people of color tell us they experience on a fairly regular basis. That is denial so profound as to boggle the mind, but there it is. And the people who are saying it are not mean-spirited, they're not hard-hearted, they're not bad people. I firmly believe that most people are good people. I could be wrong about this, but I have 2 little girls, ages 6 and 4, and I choose as a parent to believe that most people are good. If you have evidence to the contrary, keep it to yourself. I do not want to know it or hear it this evening. What I do know is that those individuals who said that, as well-meaning as they may have been, that they really didn't see it as a significant problem, aren't new in their denial. See, it's one thing for young people to think that the problem is solved. I almost get that. I almost understand it, because if you're under the age of 25, maybe even under the age of 35, what you know, what we tend to know, younger people, about this history and about this legacy is what we see in that grainy black and white footage every MLK Day, or maybe during Black History Month. If I were to ask you, do you believe that folks of color had equal opportunity and were treated equally in this country in 1963? Or whether or not black children were treated equally in schools and had equal educational opportunity in 1962, I know right now that no one in here would say, well, of course, naturally they did. 1963, that was a damn good year to be black or brown in America. What are you talking about? Everyone, regardless of your position about 2007, would quickly acknowledge how bad it was back in the day, because it's no sweat off your back. 44, 45 years later, it's easy to talk about how bad it was, but now see, here's the trick. What do you think white folks said when those very questions were put to them in 1963 and in 1962? At a time when the apartheid system in this country was very much in full effect. It was before the Civil Rights Act, before the Voting Rights Act, before the Fair Housing Act. In retrospect, we can all look back and say how profoundly unequal it was. How profoundly unequal it was. And yet when white folks were asked, some of them our parents, our grandparents, great uncles, great aunts, these ancestors of ours, were asked the very same question in 1963. Do you think that people of color, they didn't use that term, it said racial minorities. Do you think that racial minorities are treated equally in your community? And 80% of white folks said yes. In 1962, when Gallup asked, do you think that black children receive equal educational opportunity in your community? 90% approximately of white folks said yes. Nothing to see here. What is all this complaining? What is this March on Washington? I don't get it. I don't understand it. In fact, the very month of that march, which now it seems like every white liberal wants you to believe they were at, the very month of that march. White folks were asked by Newsweek what they thought about it. They said 2/3 of whites said that Dr. King and the movement were pushing too far, too fast, asking for too much, and too soon. The idea that this country was ready to hear this, even at the time when we know how vicious it was, is a lie. What does it say that white folks were in denial in 62 and 63? What does it say that if you've gone back to the 30s and asked the question, you think white folks were clear then? The 1890s. What did white folks say? Those southern editors of newspapers where I'm from, they would say, we get along fine with our Negroes down here if you Yankees would just leave us alone and stop messing in our business. Go back to 1850 and read what Dr. Samuel Cartwright, a well-respected member in good standing of the medical profession in this country, said. Not only was racism not a problem, there wasn't even a word for that yet, slavery wasn't a problem, so much so that he decided that any slave who would run away obviously had a mental illness. Because you'd have to be crazy to run away from bondage. So he came up with a term, he called it drapetomania. Don't even know what the root of that is, don't want to know, don't understand where the word came from, but that's what he called it, drapetomania. You must be crazy, you must be mentally ill to run away from your loving master. Denial. In every generation, 2007, 1963, the 30s, the 1890s, the 1850s, my point being that in every generation, members of the dominant group have said there is no problem. And in every generation, without fail, we have been wrong. And in every generation, people of color, those who are the targets of that oppression and subordination, have said there is a problem. And in every generation, without fail, they have been right. So the question for us today is, what are the odds, honestly, that people of color who have never gotten it wrong have suddenly lost their frickin' minds and have suddenly become unable to see truth and to separate it from fiction? And counter to that, what are the odds that white folks who have never gotten it right yet have suddenly become highly, highly perceptive? The odds are pretty long. And again, it's not because white folks are insensitive or hard-hearted, let alone stupid, but it is that those of us who are white have the luxury of not knowing black and brown truth. We don't know because we don't have to know. We are not tested on it. If I don't know what people of color experience, what happens to me in this country? Virtually nothing. But if people of color don't know my reality, if people of color don't know white reality better than white folks have to know it, if they cannot regurgitate it to us better than we would ever be able to regurgitate it to ourselves, all hell breaks loose. So people of color are going to have to know white history, white literature, white art, white theater, white poetry, white drama. I know we don't call it that. That's sort of the point.
Let me stop it here because I like and I don't like Tim Wise. He's a white boy that perhaps knows and he doesn't know, but he doesn't speak about it in regard to white people really, real true history of filth, degradation, and depravity. You see, it's so important for us as a people to understand from which these people come from. And it's imperative to understand how this started. It started with, and if you don't know what it is, I will explain it without going into too much detail. I go into full detail in my book, The White Man's Burden of Lies and Deceit, 1 and 2. The first book is about 1,000 pages. The other book, book 2, dealing with white supremacy and what that means. The understanding of white supremacy, book 2. The White Man's Burden, understanding white supremacy, and how it all started. It all started with lies. Blumenbach and Meisner took their funky asses to Greece and Rome and saw unfinished white alabaster statues, and since they were white or looking white or whatever the case may be, they said, that's us. We did this. We did this. This is our civilization, and therefore, America is our civilization because it comes from Greece and Rome. Now, anybody with 2 cents of understanding and education can see that the influence of on Greece and Rome comes from Egypt. The architecture speaks for itself. All of the Greek gods and goddesses were black out of Greece and Rome and out of Egypt and other places like the Mayans and things of that nature, Aztecs, you name it. It's just not there in the Middle East where it all started. So it's been going on for quite a while. And when you come to the realization of Blumenbach and Meisner and the spin of their nonsensical understanding without any reference at all, they got their PhD from Harvard and Yale, and all based on lies. And that perpetuated, it was like a snowball. And in the 1680s, now you get the first inclination of being white, legally speaking. So being white really caught on and ran deep within the soul of these creatures, of these monsters in the 1880s. So it took from 1680, 1780, 200 years for the concept, the idea of whiteness to take root. Can you imagine waking up and realization that you've been lied to? That the people who got the degrees ain't worth a damn? Then they ain't shit. All they do is talk shit because they know they ain't shit. They ain't shit because they know they talk shit. You know how much God, I can't even, what word am I looking for? You know how bad that would play on the minds of white folk? Knowing that you ain't shit, that you got everything you got from us and black people, you step on and all this other stuff. Calling us niggas and jigaboos and jungle, but you the motherfucking nigga. We civilized you bitches 3 times. Once in Egypt, once in Rome, and now out of Spain and Portugal. So who's the dummy? But let me finish with Tim Wise.
When your stuff is the stuff against which everybody else's stuff is compared and found lacking, you don't have to name it. It's just the norm. That's why, for those still confused, we don't have White History Month, because we have several. They go by the tricky names of May and June, July, August, September. Pretty much any month that we have not designated as someone else's month, that's White History Month. But we take it for granted because we don't have to know other folks' reality. That's a privilege. That's an advantage. That's a head start. And it's one we must think about. See, that's the other piece of this, right? It's one thing for white folks to acknowledge racism. Because, white liberals will. God bless them. White liberals will acknowledge that racism is real. Oh my goodness, we should do something about that. Yes, we should. It's terrible, that racial profiling, that housing discrimination. My goodness, it's awful. Yes, it is. But just because we acknowledge racism and discrimination doesn't mean that we'll necessarily acknowledge the flip side of that. Doesn't mean that we will acknowledge that for everyone who's targeted by that discrimination, which we're willing to admit exists, there is somebody else not being targeted, guess whom, and that those individuals are elevated by definition and receive an advantage, receive a subsidy, receive a privilege in the process. You see, we like to talk about those who are down as if there is no up. Right? We like to use language that obscures the interrelationship of down and up. Now, down has no meaning without an up. It is a relative term. But we talk about those at the bottom of the hierarchy, not paying attention to the fact that for anyone who's down, someone is above them, and they're above them because they're down. We use this language that makes it impossible. And when I say we, I don't mean like right-wing folks. I'm even talking about them. I'm talking about nice, liberal, caring service providers. People who just want to help. Right? I just want to help the underprivileged. That's the word we use. I've used it before. I don't use it anymore, except in a speech like this. Right? We just just want to help the underprivileged. But what's wrong with that word, folks? At least two things that ought to be pretty obvious to you, right? Number one is it's a passively constructed term, right? It's the passive voice, as my English teacher would say. Underprivileged doesn't imply that anybody did anything to anyone. It's just there's privilege and I will be damned. There you are under it. We could just figure out how you got down there. We could solve all the problems of the Western world. But we don't want to know how you got down there. No! That's why we came up with that bumper sticker. Stuff happens. That's the G-rated version. That's a bumper sticker that only a straight white upper middle class male could have made. Because anyone who isn't straight, anyone who isn't male, anyone who isn't white, anyone who isn't upper middle class knows that stuff doesn't just happen. Stuff gets done by people to people. Nothing is a coincidence. Nothing is random. It is an osmosis. And so we act as if it's some passive thing, but yet that's not the case. And the second problem with the term underprivileged is even bigger than the first one, is it's a relative term. Again, this is grammar. Man, you don't like this? You can disagree with anything else I say tonight. If you have a problem with this piece right here, you must take it up with your third grade grammar teacher, because it is not on me. If we use the word underprivileged, then by definition there must be an overprivileged, but we don't use that word in polite conversation. Indeed, it doesn't exist in any dictionary to be found on the planet. If you don't believe me, go back to your res hall, go back to your apartment, go back to your home, go back to your place of employment. And tomorrow I want you to punch in two little words. The first one, underprivileged. Make no mistake, your spell check is going to recognize that word. It's in their dictionary. They can give you the definition. They can give you the synonym. They can give you the antonym. They can show you the phonetic way in which you should spell it. Now come down one line, type in the word overprivileged, and watch how fast that little red line pops up. That line which says, nope, you're an idiot. Making up words that don't exist. Try again and get back to us. But if there's an underprivileged, there must be an overprivileged. Why don't we talk about it? Because that would require that we acknowledge that if there are 2 to 3 million people being targeted for race-based housing discrimination because they are people of color every year, that is 2 to 3 million more places I can live. If people of color are being targeted and profiled and I'm not, that is an advantage. It may or may not have material consequences. A lot of privilege isn't about material acquisition, so please know this. When I talk about white privilege, I don't even mean money necessarily. For some, it definitely translates to that. For some, it has certainly meant that. But even for those white folks who don't have that money, white privilege is real at the psychological level.
You got that right. Hold on. Let me see where I'm at here. So, hold on. Let me get out of here and really just talk for a few minutes. There is a psychological effect that Blumenbach and Meisner, even on their deathbed, saying this lie that they told about themselves being superior and about black people being inferior will come back and bite them on the ass. If not them personally, their ancestors, their descendants, I'm sorry. So, yeah, our brother I put to shame with the high school education and no government funding. Ain't that a bitch? Right about that, bro. Willie Rivers, great. I really appreciate you being here. And, I don't know, is it raining? Sound like it, man. But I really appreciate you coming on, my brother Willie, and looking forward to you enjoying the show. Hopefully, you get something from it. So what we've been saying all along, brother Willie, is that this has been one hell of a ride. And Traore and Niger and Mali and now other countries that are going to be joining in has set up what is happening according to the prediction of Gaddafi, that Africa will rise up and take over. Now look at what is happening. We have a microsonic energy device running cars that doesn't need to be recharged or doesn't need oil or gas. What I am seeing is that Africa is going to produce a weapon that is bar none, will put to shame anything that America tried to do and Europe tried to do, or Europeans try to do, or white folks try to do. It's coming. And I'm not talking about no 20, 30 years from now, within the next 5, or at least by 2030. That we're going to see a historical, economic, and political change, shift, paradigm shift, so that, and whereby all of the wealth that has been taken from us will be given back to us. Because we are the real Jews. And the recognition of that just changes the whole outlook of the world. Because we know that these fake white Jews have been getting it in on our behalf in their name, using our name, and they have no right to that. And Brother Traore being the sitting president of Burkina, I guess I'm saying it right, Burkina Faso, lends credibility to that, right? So, hold on. Let me make sure I get it. So we got that right. So hold on. So this next one is a minute long, and I'm going to show you exactly what I've been saying all the time. Not only in this moment on the show today, but throughout all previous moments. Let's roll the tape. All right, let me see. Yeah, this one is the lost ancient Egyptian city discovered underwater, and all this discovery will help us a lot to know more about the ancient Egyptians. So let me pull up turn up the volume.
That's why I like cake.
Look at the detail. You don't get that kind of detail from a chisel. Hold on. You don't get that kind of detail from a chisel and hammer. That has to be laser. And to be honest with you, when I was in college, I read a book that was talking about lasers, phasers, and measures that the Egyptians used, and the ability to levitate stones as big as they were in order to put them into place to create the pyramid. Look at that! Look at that! Look at how great you are. You don't get that kind of detail from a chisel. You don't. So we're gonna go to this one. Now this is a white woman. I really want to say beast, because this is what the fuck did he? Do you know how many people who are like her? Tens of millions. So we're gonna play that, and then I will be right back.
No, I don't wipe my ass and it stinks when I walk past you in public, but there is no reason for you guys to be making this face when I walk by. I see you doing that, and it makes me feel like shit. So not only am I smelling like shit, I'm now feeling like shit because you don't know how to control your face. And everybody's always talking about how disgusting it is that I don't wipe. But you know what? If the Lord wanted me to wipe my ass, he would have built in toilet paper into my body. And he didn't. The smell of doo-doo is actually supposed to be a pheromone to attract mates. But we've gotten so used, as a society, we have decided to give into capitalism. We buy this toilet paper, we wipe away our pheromones, and that's why a lot of you have a hard time reproducing, because that actually is supposed to help with your fertility. Do you know all the toxic chemicals that are inside of toilet paper? And then think, that toilet paper dissolves in the sewer system. So when you wipe, it's dissolving slowly in your butt crack, and it's getting into your bloodstream.
Oh my God. Man, when I first saw that, I just could not understand what the fuck go through their mind, man. What happened? I just don't get it. I really don't. But that white folks, you gotta leave them motherfuckers alone where they are, how they are, why they are, and let them solve that shit by themselves. Because I can tell you, the more you are involved with bullshit, the more bullshit you become, the more crazy you become. The more you involve yourself with stupid people, the more dumb you become, the more stupid you become. So that's how that goes. And it's been a death knell to us to fuck with these people, man. They're not like us. They're nowhere near us. They below us. We tried to help 3 times. We tried to civilize these motherfuckers 3 times. They still don't get it. So fuck them like baseball. 3 strikes, you're out. Yeah. So let me go on and play this one, and then we'll be on our way.
Taught in school that slavery ended in the Civil War. It did for about 10 years. By 1877, there was a compact made by North and South that the South could do what it felt like, essentially. So they reinstituted slavery, but they reinstituted it in a much more brutal form. And what they did is criminalize black life. So if a black man is standing on a street corner, he can be arrested for vagrancy. If he looks at a white woman, he could be arrested for attempted rape, or something. And it didn't matter if you were in for a $10 fee, you'd never get out because you couldn't pay the court judge, and you couldn't pay the lawyer, and you didn't have any money anyway. So it was essentially permanent servitude. These criminalized blacks were then handed over to industry, and that's a large part of American industrial development. This big southern industrialization based on mines, steel, U.S. Steel, and so on. A lot of it's just based on agriculture, of course, back to the time period. This is a large part of American economic history. That's based, and it was worse than slavery for exactly the reasons that the slave owners had always argued. When we own these guys, we take care of them. When we just pick them up from the jails, we don't give a damn about them. If they die of starvation, fine, we got more from the jails. So you had a period worse than slavery. It went up to the Second World War. It was not small. Big impact on American industrial history. They were taught in school that slavery ended in the Civil War.
So you heard it from him in regard to what that means. Hold on. And I chose this one because it just showed the disrespect that white folks have, because they just not like us. They'll never understand how we are and why we are. Hundreds of dancers and participants in this halftime show with Kendrick Lamar Kendrick, something like that, the rapper, and they can't manage to feature one single white person. But he says, we got rid of DI based on merit. The black dancers dance better. Well, I heard that one. So we're winding on down here. So I really wanted to try to put forth this whole narrative of Trump saying that if the Palestinians don't release all of the hostages, that he's going to drop the mother-all bomb on Palestine to level it and to create the the French Riviera, or the version of the French Riviera, in the Middle East or in the Mediterranean. So let's get to my brother Semitic Jew. We'll be right back.
What happened? 40 acres and a mule, the reparations deal with the American government was broken. What happened next? Well, we enter into a period called Reconstruction. We're going to talk about it. Let's do our homework. So we've been talking about 40 acres and a mule, the deal that the federal government had with newly freed black people who had been enslaved during the Civil War and found themselves released into a whole new world. Now they were free in the United States, but with no infrastructure, no education, scattered to the winds. Their families had been sold off and lost. They needed some help getting their feet under them so that they could become thriving members of society. And for a moment, we were on the right track as a nation. Abraham Lincoln had a plan for Reconstruction for the South. He wanted to reincorporate the seceded states and offer citizenship to the newly freed black people. However, things went off the rails when Lincoln was assassinated and his vice president, Andrew Johnson, took over. And yes, it's Andrew Johnson. Some of you thought you were going to correct me and tell me that it was Andrew Jackson. It's a different asshole, different old white dude, same asshole tendencies. Andrew Jackson is the guy that's on the $20 bill. He is also a piece of shit, but he was long dead before Andrew Johnson took over and ran our country into a ditch right after the Civil War. So how did things go so horribly wrong? Well, the most important thing to remember is how quickly this all went down, right? So last time we talked about William Sherman writing his field order number 15, and that was where we get this phrase, 40 acres and a mule. So he writes this order in January of 1865, and it is quickly adopted by President Lincoln. And almost immediately, Congress establishes the Freedmen's Bureau. Now, this is a governmental agency at the federal level that was designed to help newly freed black people establish their new lives, right? Become citizens, find their families, get married, all that stuff. Then a month later, the Civil War officially ends. Robert E. Lee surrenders to Ulysses S. Grant at the Appomattox Courthouse. That's the part of history that everybody, white people, are taught, right? The end of the Civil War here. And then we're just supposed to think everything went back to normal and got hunky-dory. That's not the experience of the newly freed black people, especially in the South. Because just 5 days after the Civil War officially ends, Lincoln is assassinated by a Confederate sympathizer named John Wilkes Booth. But that's not all that went down on April 14th, 1865. The plan was much bigger. Yeah, John Wilkes Booth was on the side of the South. He was pissed about Lincoln's plans to reincorporate black people into society. There was major systemic racism behind most of the stuff that went down subsequently. Was Lincoln assassinated successfully? Yes. But what we aren't often reminded of is that there was also a plot to assassinate Andrew Johnson, except his would-be assassin decided not to go through with it. Is that because Johnson was a Confederate sympathizer? Probably. And the third part of the plan was to assassinate William Seward, who was Lincoln's Secretary of State. Now, Seward was also much along the Lincoln plan of Reconstruction, getting the South back together to rejoin the Union, but also bring along racial equality to the new United States of America. And this was a seriously dirty deed. The guy that was supposed to assassinate William Seward, it all happened on the same night. And Seward is attacked in his home. The guy bum rushes his house, jumps into his bed, stabs him in the face and the neck. Then, of course, there's a nationwide hunt for the bad guys. So you can just imagine the chaos that's happening in the country right now. A couple of weeks later, General Oliver Howard becomes the commissioner of the Freedmen's Bureau. Howard, that name familiar? Yeah, he's the guy that helped found Howard University. I mean, and this has all happened in only a few months, right? Sherman wrote his articles in January of 1865. It's now May of 1865. The war has ended. The president's been assassinated and chaos reigns. This is all happening very, very quickly. Now, in May of 1865, our new president, Andrew Johnson, decides to totally scrap Lincoln's plan for Reconstruction. And Talk about a little bitch. He is a little bitch about it because he's butthurt that the South was going to suffer so much. He was from Tennessee. He was a Confederate sympathizer too, and he didn't think that the South should have to suffer for their crimes. So the first thing he does is revokes Sherman's order. So guess what? No 40 acres and a mule for any of the freed black people. Absolutely not. He says, okay, yeah, fine. We'll stick with the 13th Amendment. We'll abolish slavery, but let them figure it out for themselves. Let the states figure it out for themselves. That's his whole mantra, that the federal government is not going to help anybody. Fuck them. His other thing that he does is he pardons all the Confederate criminals from the war. Sound familiar yet? The other thing he does here is he returns all the seized land back to the white people who had been operating it before the war. So if you were a plantation owner in the South and you seceded from the Union, instead of being charged with treason and sent to prison, and that land is now unoccupied, and so he was going to give it to the freed slaves and they were going to farm it, he pardons everybody. Nobody's going to jail. In fact, here's your land back, guys. Here you go. I know you had a plantation here before. Now you can just take over, carry on as you were. No worries. Everybody's pardoned. Nobody's in trouble. And he decides he does not think that blacks should be granted citizenship. So they're in this weird limbo area of not being slaves anymore, but they're not full citizens, so they have no judicial rights, they can't own land or property. They're like stuck in this weird place. So what happens? You become a sharecropper, an indentured servant. People were desperate to make a living, and without land ownership or actual citizenship rights, they just became one step beyond where they had been before.
All right, now you heard it. This is what I've been saying all along. That this one is a 25-minute one, and supposedly Elon Musk brought that up. But we're at a precipice, you guys, crossroad, and the opportunity to make the right decision is really on us. It has nothing to do with white folks. It has nothing. They can lie all day long, but if you're not reading and you're going along with the narrative of what's being said, that's on you. That ain't got shit to do. I mean, initially, yes, but in the end, it always has to do with you. Now, I've been called by white folks, nigga this, nigga that. I put them in check, man, but I know who I'm talking to, who I'm talking with. And white men and women are our children. And there's no motherfucking way a father gonna allow his son to talk all kind of bullshit in his ear. And this is where it's important for us to educate our own and to making sure they know who these people are. And to be very cognizant of the fact or facts of the historical narrative that is true versus one that's been told. So with that one, we got we got 3 more to go. Hold on, let me see. Hold on, let me see. Troy, Hebrew, Israel. Let me see if that comes up. Yeah, okay, well, here we go. So I'm going to put this one, I'm not going to play it because we're going to be here all night. I keep going backwards to find this one. I thought I had put it into the, hold on, let me see.
For anyone with dementia, do not drink warm water. Did you know that memory loss is not a condition of the mind? Most people...
Ibrahim Traore declares, "We will serve the black biblical Israelites a global reckoning."
So I'm not going to play this one, but I'm going to put it into the comment so that people can see it and watch it, copy it and paste it. All right. And it's a good video because it deals with Traore's understanding of who we are as a people and what that means on a global scale versus what's going on with these fake Jews and getting all the money, getting all of this, getting all of that, getting all of the respect that they have from a biblical perspective, not belong to black people. Hold on, let me see. So I'm gonna okay. So we're gonna go to Elon first, and like I said, we're not gonna do the Abraham Traore declared on the Hebrew Israelite. That's a very, very good video, and yeah, I let me leave. I don't know. Let me leave this here, and we'll go to the Elon Musk one. Hold on.
Black Israelites in the End Times. In a world increasingly dominated by technological advancements and space exploration, few would expect one of the most powerful figures in modern industry to turn his attention toward biblical prophecy. Yet Elon Musk, the enigmatic billionaire behind Tesla and SpaceX, has recently made a startling claim, one that has shaken both religious scholars and casual observers alike. According to Musk, the Black Israelites are at the heart of a prophecy that could determine the fate of the world. The implications are unsettling, a hidden narrative woven throughout history, now being unraveled by a man best known for electric cars and Mars colonization. Why would a man who dreams of interplanetary travel suddenly delve into one of the most controversial and ancient debates in religious history? What has Musk discovered in the scriptures and historical records that has compelled him to issue this warning? And most importantly, could he be right? As the world teeters on the edge of uncertainty, war, and upheaval, Musk's revelation forces us to confront a terrifying question. Are we truly living in the last days? If you found this discussion thought-provoking, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into hidden histories, prophecy, and global events. Leave a comment below and share your thoughts. Do you think Musk is onto something? Or is this just another speculation? Let's discuss. Elon Musk says, the Black Israelites are key to end times prophecy. Elon Musk's recent assertion that the Black Israelites hold a crucial place in end times prophecy has sent shockwaves through both religious and secular circles. In an era where misinformation is rampant and skepticism is at an all-time high, Musk's words carry an unusual weight, not because he is a theologian or religious leader, but because he is a man of science, logic, and calculation. When someone like Musk, whose focus has always been on technology, artificial intelligence, and the future of humanity, makes a pronouncement about biblical prophecy, people listen. His statement is not just a passing remark. It is a carefully considered observation that ties into a much larger and more profound conversation about the destiny of the world. Musk contends that the Black Israelites are not merely a religious or cultural group, but a prophetic sign, one that aligns with ancient biblical texts warning of a great reckoning before the final judgment. The foundation of his claim is deeply rooted in Scripture, particularly in passages that describe a people who would endure immense suffering, dispersion, and oppression before rising again in the last days. He highlights Deuteronomy 28 as a key text, pointing out the striking parallels between the curses pronounced upon the Israelites and the historical experiences of African-descended peoples, particularly those who endured the transatlantic slave trade. The scriptures declare, "And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other." Deuteronomy 28:64. A verse that many Black Israelites interpret as a direct reference to their historical displacement. Furthermore, the prophecy states, "And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest." Deuteronomy 28:65. Echoing the centuries of racial oppression, segregation, and systemic discrimination that many descendants of enslaved Africans have faced. Perhaps the most chilling verse Musk points to is Deuteronomy 28:68. "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, a statement that many believe describes the forced transportation of Africans.
When I first started assembling this little device to make water out of thin air, my friends laughed at me. But when they saw the gallons of
across the Atlantic, bound in chains and subjected to the horrors of slavery. Musk argues that these prophecies, written thousands of years ago, could not have been a mere coincidence. Rather, they seem to have played out with unnerving accuracy in the annals of history. His argument is bolstered by other biblical references, particularly in the apocalyptic books of Daniel and Revelation, which speak of a people who would awaken to their true identity in the final days. In the book of Revelation, John speaks of those who claim to be Jews but are not, a passage that some interpret as evidence that the true Israelites have been hidden and marginalized throughout history. If the Black Israelites' identity is indeed accurate, Musk suggests, then the unfolding of history must be examined in light of biblical prophecy. He warns that global events, including wars, economic collapses, and political turmoil, are eerily aligning with descriptions found in Scripture. He points to the rise of artificial intelligence, global surveillance, and the increasing centralization of power as signs of a coming shift, one that many religious scholars have long associated with the end times. Musk's involvement in technological advancements gives his perspective a unique edge. He understands better than most how the rapid development of AI, cybernetics, and space exploration could play into eschatological narratives about a one-world government and the potential for mass deception. While many might dismiss his statements as speculative, Musk insists that he is merely following the evidence. He acknowledges that he is not a religious scholar, but he also argues that prophecy should not be ignored simply because it is ancient. After all, he reasons, if humanity is on the verge of an unprecedented transformation, whether through technological singularity, climate catastrophe, or geopolitical upheaval, then it would be wise to consider all perspectives, including those written in sacred texts. But the most unsettling part of Musk's theory is not just that the Black Israelites may be the key to understanding prophecy, it is that the timeline appears to be accelerating. Never before in history has knowledge spread so quickly, nor has human civilization been so interconnected. He warns that the rapid awakening of people to their true identity, combined with increasing global instability, suggests that the world is approaching a tipping point. Whether one believes Musk's interpretation or not, his assertion has undeniably reignited discussions about biblical prophecy, race, and the future of humanity. His words serve as a reminder that history is not merely a collection of past events, but a living, unfolding narrative, one that may be moving toward a climactic and prophetic conclusion. 2. What Elon Musk found about Black Israelites and the apocalypse. Elon Musk is not a conventional theologian, nor does he claim to be a prophet. Yet his fascination with patterns, whether in artificial intelligence, economic cycles, or astrophysics, has led him to a provocative conclusion. History is not a random sequence of events, but a repeating cycle that mirrors biblical prophecy. This theory extends beyond traditional religious interpretations and into the realm of predictive history, where Musk suggests that ancient warnings hold real significance for the present day. He believes that prophecies, particularly those concerning the children of Israel, are unfolding in ways that demand urgent attention. Musk's interest in historical cycles intersects with the growing conversation about the identity of Black Israelites, people of African descent who trace their lineage to the biblical Israelites. His observations suggest that this rediscovery is more than a cultural movement. It is part of an apocalyptic pattern that has been playing out for thousands of years. If history is indeed a set of repeating themes, Musk argues, then the current awakening.
La financiación de una cámara hiperbárica ofrece la ventaja de no requerir gran desembolso inicial.
Awakening of Black Israelites may signal a culmination point, a moment when ancient prophecies and modern reality converge. Musk's theory is rooted in the idea that history operates in cycles, what some might call an algorithm of human events. In this framework, the Bible is not just a collection of spiritual teachings, but a coded message outlining these cycles. He notes that significant historical moments for the Israelites, particularly instances of exile, suffering, and eventual deliverance, align eerily with biblical prophecies. By examining these past events, he believes we can predict what is yet to come. Ancient Egypt, the Israelites were enslaved, subjected to harsh labor, and delivered only after divine plagues devastated Egypt. Their liberation was marked by the miraculous parting of the Red Sea and their eventual journey to the Promised Land. The Babylonian captivity, centuries later, the Israelites were exiled to Babylon after the destruction of Solomon's temple. They remained in captivity until a remnant was allowed to return and rebuild their homeland. The Roman oppression, the Jewish people endured severe persecution under the Roman Empire, culminating in the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 AD. This marked another mass displacement and exile. The transatlantic slave trade. Many black Israelites argue that the forced migration of African people into slavery represents another cycle of Israelite oppression, mirroring the biblical narratives of captivity and loss of identity. Millions of Africans were taken from their homeland, stripped of their culture, and subjected to unimaginable suffering. Each of these events follows a consistent biblical theme. A chosen people suffer oppression, lose their identity, endure exile, and ultimately experience divine intervention, leading to redemption. According to Musk, if this pattern continues, it means we are on the precipice of the final stage, the ultimate redemption that biblical prophecy has long foretold. The book of Revelation, the final book of the Bible, describes a time of great tribulation during which a faithful remnant will awaken to their true identity. These people, often referred to as the elect, or 144,000, will play a crucial role in the end-time scenario. Musk, in his analysis of historical patterns, suggests that this awakening is already underway. A rise in awareness of the Hebrew Israelite identity. Over the past few decades, there has been a surge in interest among African Americans, Caribbeans, and other people of African descent in reclaiming their Israelite heritage. Books, documentaries, and social media platforms have amplified this movement, bringing to light historical evidence that challenges mainstream narratives about biblical lineage.
Now, let me stop it right there. I wanted to add a little bit more light to that. That the transatlantic slave trade was not by white people. It was by black people. I want to say that shit again. It was not by white people. It was by black people. How kind of people couldn't even speak, just started speaking 1,000 years ago, can ever do anything? They didn't have the technological wherewithal, I guess that's how you did, to build boats. That came from the Vikings. That came from our technological advances after 800 years of running and ruling Europe in 1492 all the way through the beginning stages of America up until 1880. The people who were taken from the west coast of Africa were Jews from Portugal and from Spain. It had nothing to do with African people. These were Jews, the first people to arrive. I can't remember their name, but their last name was Negro, or Negro. Negro was a beloved name that the Portuguese gave themselves, Yaya. And I don't remember the first two black people who arrived on the shores of Virginia in 1619, but these were prisoners of war. And this is why you hear me saying we were prisoners of war, not slaves in America. We were denied our heritage, our cultures, our language, everything. And this is why we are running around looking crazy, acting crazy, and talking crazy, as if we don't have any history whatsoever. And I'm just now seeing, not so long ago, Antonin Scalia, the former U.S. Supreme Court judge, saying that black people are not qualified to be at Yale, Harvard, and other institutions of higher learning. They need to be at a second tier. Man, fuck you. See, this is the reason why you did, not bitch. Fuck you, your mama, everybody else, your goddamn family. But this is what I'm talking about. It's important to understand that we created separate universities. The first university out of England was Oxford, of which the first professors of Oxford were black people because we created Oxford. We created the concept of school for kids, school for high school people, school for universities, stuff like that. We were deep, man. There's nobody better than us. And you're going to see that. Matter of fact, let me bring that up right now. See that. And the next one, let me see. Go to my bookmark. You already seen that one. I'm going to bring this one up. You already seen that one. And this is the guy. Hold on. Well, you know what? Let me play him right now. It's only a minute long. Hold on.
He is an academic juggernaut, Nigerian-American, Dr. Osatohanme Osemengi, affectionately dubbed the U.S. drone builder, is not just another brilliant mind. He is an academic juggernaut, boasting an astonishing 7 master's degrees and 4 PhDs. Since his daring relocation to the United States in the 1980s, Dr. Osemwengi has been on a relentless quest for knowledge and application in the fields of robotics and engineering. He has become an indispensable asset to the American Armed Forces, where he shapes the future of military technology as a master drone builder. His expertise is not merely theoretical. He played a pivotal role in developing the infamous Mars Curiosity rover, which has been exploring the rugged terrains of Mars, unearthing Martian mysteries long after it was sent on its mission. The genius is not resting on his laurels. He is currently immersed in developing a cutting-edge military game and collision avoidance software for drones. So, the next time you see a drone zipping through the skies, remember the brilliant mind of Dr. Osemwengi.
So now we know why and how America has gotten to be the technological wonder that it is and the military might that it is. Just imagine if he stayed in Africa at how more powerful Africa would be. Without us, America ain't shit. It's just like Ukraine. Now you know. Let me see. This lady.
I'm calling Trump on you, you illegal motherfucker. I'm calling Trump on you.
Oh, wow. Yeah, here we go. So, let me get out of here and finish up with Elon Musk. Hold on.
In a moment that sent shockwaves across the globe, Ibrahim tried in Judaism. Second, it raises geopolitical implications. If black biblical Israelites are recognized as the true descendants of Israel,
I'm sorry.
It could lead to a reevaluation.
That's not the one. I'm sorry. The Elon Musk.
Global unrest and ethnic targeting. Revelation speaks of wars, rumors of wars, and nations rising against nations before the final judgment. Today we are witnessing escalating geopolitical conflicts, racial tensions, and widespread social upheaval. The oppression of specific groups, particularly those who claim Israelite descent, aligns with the biblical notion of tribulation before deliverance. The role of technology in revealing hidden truths. Musk has often spoken about the exponential growth of technology and how it exposes suppressed information. In the digital age, knowledge that was once buried, whether ancient texts, genetic studies, or historical records, is now accessible at an unprecedented scale. This access is reshaping public consciousness, much like how Revelation describes the final unveiling of truth before the end times. To Musk, these signs are not mere coincidences, but evidence that we are living in a moment of great prophetic significance. If history follows a pattern, and if Revelation is indeed a prophetic code rather than mere religious allegory, then we may be entering the climactic phase of this cycle, what the Bible calls the Great Tribulation. If Musk's interpretation
Frustrated with Excel? Stop wasting hours on simple errors. Imagine clean, organized data
is correct, and history is accelerating toward a prophetic climax, what does that mean for the rest of the world? His theory suggests that we are not merely spectators in this unfolding drama. We are active participants. Humanity stands at a crossroads. with two potential futures before us. The reckoning of oppressors. In the biblical narrative, every cycle of exile and suffering is followed by divine judgment upon those who inflicted the oppression. Egypt suffered plagues, Babylon fell, Rome collapsed, and if the pattern holds, modern systems of oppression may face similar reckonings. Musk warns that institutions built on deception, exploitation, and hidden histories may not withstand the force of truth when it finally emerges. The return to true identity, one of the most profound messages in Revelation, is the restoration of the lost. Musk suggests that as more people awaken to their true heritage, a global shift in consciousness will occur. This could redefine power structures, rewrite historical narratives, and disrupt the geopolitical balance. The world may witness a reclaiming of cultural and spiritual sovereignty on a scale never seen before. The role of artificial intelligence in prophecy. As someone deeply invested in AI, Musk speculates that artificial intelligence could play a role in this revelation. Could AI, through its vast data processing capabilities, uncover ancient truths hidden in historical records? Could it expose deliberate historical distortions? If AI accelerates the unveiling of these truths, it could hasten the final stages of the prophetic timeline. A clash between good and evil. Revelation describes a final battle, not just in a physical sense, but in ideological, spiritual, and technological dimensions. Musk has often spoken about the dangers of AI, the risks of centralized control, and the potential for a dystopian future. He suggests that the coming years may see an intensifying struggle between those who seek truth and liberation and those who wish to maintain deception and control. Elon Musk's views on Black Israelites in the apocalypse are not mainstream theological positions, but they are compelling in their own right. His fascination with history as a predictive algorithm leads him to conclude that we are on the verge of a major prophetic event, one in which ancient cycles will reach their climax. The resurgence of Israelite identity among people of African descent, the increasing exposure of hidden histories, and the mounting global unrest all align with biblical themes of tribulation, judgment, and redemption. While some may dismiss Musk's ideas as speculative, others find them eerily consistent with unfolding world events. Whether one views his perspective as an intellectual exercise or a genuine prophetic insight, the implications are profound. If the pattern holds, then history is not just repeating itself, it is accelerating toward a final, dramatic resolution. 3. Elon Musk's warning. Are we entering the final chapter of biblical history? Elon Musk has never been one to shy away from controversial or thought-provoking topics, but his recent concerns have taken on a different tone, one that borders on the apocalyptic. While he is often associated with discussions about the future of technology, space travel, and artificial intelligence, Musk has increasingly hinted at something far deeper. The possibility that we are living through the final chapter of biblical history. To him, the accelerating pace of world events is not random. It follows a discernible pattern, one that lines up eerily with ancient prophecies. In recent years, global events have taken a dark turn. Wars are raging across multiple continents. Economies are showing signs of imminent collapse, and societal values are shifting in ways that many find unsettling. Religious conflicts, political instability, and rapid technological advancements are all converging in a way that suggests humanity is reaching an unprecedented crossroads. Musk argues that these are not merely geopolitical or technological developments. They are symptoms of a much larger and more profound shift, one that aligns with the prophetic warnings of the Bible. He has urged scholars, religious leaders, and historians to take these signs seriously. He challenges them to investigate the historical patterns of oppression and redemption, to examine the warnings laid out in prophetic scriptures, and to consider the growing consciousness among Black Israelites who claim descent from the biblical Hebrews. Musk's position is that history repeats itself in cycles, and if we are indeed following the biblical narrative, then we are approaching its final act. This means that humanity may soon witness a period of tribulation and upheaval that will reshape the world in ways few are prepared for. While some dismiss Musk's warnings as speculative or even alarmist, others recognize that his pattern-based approach to history carries significant weight. If the Israelites have faced repeated cycles of oppression, exile, and divine intervention throughout history, what does it mean that a growing number of people are now awakening to this identity? Does it signify the prophesied return of the lost tribes? Is it a precursor to the final redemption? Or does it suggest that the forces of oppression will rise once more in a desperate attempt to maintain control? Musk believes these questions are not merely academic, they are existential. The future of civilization may depend on how humanity chooses to interpret and respond to them. One of Musk's most alarming concerns is the role of artificial intelligence, AI, in biblical prophecy. He has repeatedly expressed his fears about the rapid advancement of AI, warning that it could lead to unintended consequences far beyond human control. But in the context of biblical prophecy, these warnings take on a more chilling dimension. Could AI be the image of the beast described in
Hold on.
Asegurar tu web es imprescindible para mantener a raya las amenazas. Detectar cualquier malware.
Revelation 13? Could it serve as the ultimate tool for deception, surveillance, and control? Revelation 13:15 states, "And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed." For centuries, theologians have debated what this image of the beast could be. In the past, some interpreted it as a political leader, a religious system, or even a form of mass propaganda. But in an age where artificial intelligence is advancing at an exponential rate, Musk warns that the biblical description may be more literal than previously thought. It can speak with human-like fluency, generating conversations that are indistinguishable from real human interactions. It can learn and evolve, constantly improving its ability to manipulate, persuade, and deceive. Can monitor and track human behavior on a scale never before possible, creating an all-seeing surveillance system. It can dictate decisions, influencing everything from economic policies to social structures through algorithmic control. Now imagine an AI system so powerful that it becomes the ultimate arbiter of truth, one that dictates who is allowed to speak, what can be said, and who deserves punishment for noncompliance. If such a system were to be placed in the hands of a global authority, it could effectively control the entire world's population. Musk argues that this scenario is not just a dystopian fantasy, it is a very real possibility. In this sense, the warnings of Revelation take on a new urgency. Musk suggests that AI could serve as the perfect vessel for the beast system, an entity that consolidates power in a way that no previous empire ever could. Unlike Babylon, Rome, or any past superpower, an AI-driven system would be inescapable, omnipresent, and virtually unstoppable. And if history has shown anything, it is that technological power, once obtained, is rarely used for benevolent purposes. Another disturbing aspect of AI's role in prophecy is its potential to create a reality so distorted that people will be unable to distinguish between truth and deception. Musk warns that as AI becomes more sophisticated, it could be used to fabricate historical narratives, rewrite scriptures, and even generate artificial religious experiences. The Bible speaks of a great deception in the last days, an event so convincing that even the elect could be deceived. Matthew 24:24. Musk theorizes that AI could be the vehicle for this deception. With deep fake technology, AI-generated voices, and algorithmically curated content, it is entirely possible that humanity could be fed an entirely false version of reality, one designed to lead people away from the truth. Create false messiahs by generating realistic, AI-powered figures that appear to perform miracles and claim divine authority. Rewrite historical records, erasing certain narratives while promoting others that serve a specific agenda. Manipulate emotions and beliefs through AI-driven propaganda that subtly conditions people to accept new ideologies. Suppress dissent, ensuring that any opposition to the system is automatically silenced. If Musk's fears are justified, then humanity is entering a period where the very concept of objective truth is under threat. And if AI is used to facilitate this deception, then the biblical warnings about a false reality may be more literal than many ever imagined. If we are indeed entering the final chapter of biblical history, as Musk suggests, then what happens next? Are we heading toward a technological singularity, where AI surpasses human intelligence and takes control of civilization? Or are we facing a deeper spiritual battle, one in which the forces of good and evil are making their final moves? Musk has often spoken about the dangers of unchecked technological progress, warning that AI must be regulated before it spirals out of human control. But he has also hinted at something more profound, the idea that humanity's future may not be determined solely by technology, but by the moral and spiritual choices we make in response to it. If AI is indeed a tool that can be used for either ultimate deception or ultimate enlightenment, then the coming years will be critical. Will humanity allow AI to be weaponized against itself, leading to a dystopian future where free thought and spiritual awakening are suppressed? Or will people recognize the signs of the times and resist the encroaching system before it is too late? Musk's warning is clear. The world is standing at the edge of a precipice. What happens next depends on whether we choose to heed the signs or ignore them. If history is any indication, those who ignore prophecy often do so at their own peril. Elon Musk's perspective on biblical history and artificial intelligence may seem unconventional, but it raises pressing questions that cannot be ignored. If history is indeed repeating itself, and if we are living in the final cycle of oppression and redemption, then the choices humanity makes today could have eternal consequences. As AI advances and world events continue to escalate, Musk's warning grows more urgent. We are not just living through another moment in history, we are witnessing the closing act of a grand narrative, one that has been unfolding for thousands of years. The only question that remains is whether we will recognize it before it's too late. 4. Musk's role as a modern-day prophet or historian? Is Elon Musk a prophet, or is he merely a historian recognizing the recurrence of patterns throughout history? Some regard him as a visionary genius who has uncovered a profound truth hidden in plain sight, while others dismiss his warnings as fear-mongering and speculation. Yet irrespective of one's stance on Musk's claims, his message is unmistakable. Something monumental is approaching. The rise of the Black Israelites, the echoes of prophecy, and the escalating global instability all point toward a pivotal moment in history. Is this the fulfillment of Scripture? Is humanity careening toward an apocalyptic reckoning? Or is Musk simply interpreting patterns where none exist? One thing remains certain: the world is listening. And if Musk is right, the time to prepare is now.
All right.
Hey, Mike.
This one, which I really want to play, but I'm getting kind of tired. I don't want to be like half-ass doing anything. But I would encourage, you know what? Let me play the first 5 minutes of it. But I would encourage everybody to listen to what Ibrahim Traoré, or really Abraham Traoré. Just powerful. Hold on.
Ibrahim Traoré declares, "We will serve the Black biblical Israelites a global reckoning." In a moment that sent shockwaves across the globe, Ibrahim Traoré, the leader of Burkina Faso, made a statement that few could have predicted. "We will serve the Black biblical Israelites." With these words, he did more than make a political declaration. He reignited an age-old controversy about the identity of the true Israelites, a debate deeply intertwined with history, race, and religion. His bold proclamation has left many questioning. Is Traoré aligning himself with the Black biblical Israelites' claim to the ancient heritage of Israel? What does his statement reveal about Africa's hidden history and its link to the biblical narrative? And why is this declaration sending shockwaves through religious, political, and global institutions? This essay delves deep into Traoré's words, uncovering the hidden forces at play, the historical evidence behind the claim of Black biblical Israelites, and the geopolitical consequences that could reshape world history. Discussion is just beginning, and your voice matters. Subscribe to the channel, share your thoughts in the comments section, and join the conversation as we explore this profound historical revelation together. Ibrahim Traoré says Black biblical Israelites deserve global recognition. What is he revealing? For centuries, Western academia, religious institutions, and mainstream media have upheld a singular depiction of the biblical Israelites, one that aligns with a Middle Eastern Semitic identity, but is often illustrated in Western art and media with European features. This constructed image, reinforced through theological scholarship, colonization, and cultural imperialism, has largely ignored or downplayed any connection between ancient Israel and Africa. However, Ibrahim Traore's recent statement presents an unmistakable challenge to this narrative. By asserting that Black biblical Israelites deserve global recognition, Traore positions Africa at the very heart of the biblical story, urging the world to reconsider long-held assumptions about the origins and identity of the Israelite people. His statement forces a deeper question. What if the original Israelites were Black, and their true history has been deliberately erased or rewritten to fit a Eurocentric perspective? This is not a baseless conspiracy theory, as some critics may claim. Historical records, linguistic evidence, biblical scriptures, and even genetic studies indicate a significant African presence in the biblical world. From the mention of Cushites and Ethiopians in the Old Testament to archaeological discoveries suggesting trade and migration between ancient Israel and Africa, a growing body of evidence challenges the conventional portrayal of the Israelites. Traore's remarks bring these facts to the forefront, pushing against centuries of historical suppression. The Black Biblical Israelites movement has long maintained that the true descendants of the biblical Israelites were scattered across Africa after multiple invasions, including the Assyrian and Babylonian exiles, as well as the Roman destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD. According to this perspective, many of these displaced Israelites later became part of African tribes, only to be enslaved and forcibly taken to the Americas during the transatlantic slave trade. This claim directly challenges the dominant Jewish identity narrative that Western academia has accepted for centuries. Echoing the core beliefs of this movement, Traore is doing more than making a historical statement. He is signaling a potential paradigm shift. His words suggest a growing recognition of Africa's historical role in biblical narratives, and more significantly,
Seguimos expandiéndonos. Ya Puerto Plata está conectada a la fibra.
An acknowledgement of the lasting effects of colonialism in distorting African history. While leaders and scholars in the African diaspora have long made these arguments, the significance of a sitting African head of state endorsing such a view is monumental. His words could serve as a catalyst for other African leaders to openly question the Eurocentric retelling of history. But why now? What has Traore uncovered that the rest of the world has ignored or hidden? Could his declaration be a prelude to unveiling historical evidence that has been buried or suppressed by colonial powers? If so, the implications would be profound, not just for Africa, but for the global religious and political order. Predictably, Traore's statement has triggered strong reactions from various institutions. Governments, religious organizations, historians, and media outlets have either dismissed his claims outright or responded with skepticism. The primary reason for such resistance lies in the potential consequences of recognizing Black biblical Israelites on a global scale. First, it would necessitate a complete reassessment of biblical history, shaking the foundations of Western theological and historical scholarship. For centuries, European and Middle Eastern interpretations of the Bible have dominated religious discourse. The idea that the biblical Israelites were Black and that their descendants exist primarily in Africa and the diaspora would upend long-held assumptions, challenging the authority of religious institutions that have shaped modern Christianity and Judaism. Second, it raises geopolitical implications. If Black biblical Israelites are recognized as the true descendants of Israel, it could lead to a reevaluation of historical land claims, identity politics, and power dynamics in the Middle East and beyond. Questions about who the chosen people truly are and what that means in a modern context could disrupt existing religious and political alignments.
I'm going to stop it there. The video goes on for another 22 minutes. Really, really, really good. And I'm seeing, and I'm very happy to see that Traore and others are going to be joining in on that conversation and making a geopolitical statement that goes well beyond where we are right now and really exposing the fake ass Jews for what they are. They don't deserve all of that money. They're not us, and we're not, and they're not like us. So we're gonna go on to the last video. It's 11 minutes long, and I'll be back for our closing comment.
What if I told you that everything you know about energy is about to change? Imagine never having to stop for gas again, never having to charge your car, never having to worry about fuel prices. Sounds impossible, right? That's exactly what they said about the Wright brothers, about Tesla, about every breakthrough that changed the world. On February 10th, 2025, something happened in Zimbabwe that made the impossible possible. Zimbabwean innovator Maxwell Chikumbutsu finally launched his vehicle on the 10th of February 2025. Now, though I made a video about this last week, many people came into the comment section and were like very skeptical. Some people say that this technology doesn't really make sense and they are not really sure that it's going to come live. But then Chikumbutsu had already made a launch date on the 10th, and that day seems to be Judgment Day, that everybody is actually waiting for it. Finally, we have come to the D-Day.
You've just given us. We saw a very interesting technological thing that you've been offering here. But many people are still in doubt. What is the source and how reliable is this? And is this going to be able to sustain for years?
But I think you've seen, like the guys who came from Israel. We've got guys who came from Switzerland. These are the guys I've been working with 4 years. They have tested it. Some of them, they've bought my products before, like Emmanuel. Emmanuel, I think he bought 2 machines for himself. Right now, he bought a car. Right now, he bought a motorbike, which he's taking with him. So it's all about the proof of the pudding. He tested it. That's why he came. Operation. And whoever who wants a machine can now get it. We've got our distributor here in Zimbabwe who is going to be handling all the sales in Zimbabwe.
The streets of Harare erupted with celebrations. Social media exploded with the launch of this marvelous car. In reality, Chikumbutsu wasn't launching a car. He was launching a technology that could be put into any car in the world.
Hold on.
All the cars that you know, if you go to Kaya right now, all their cars, you have to plug in either a DC charging station or an AC charging station. Our car is the first car. This is a generator. I think if you can go to the fridge, you can see it's going to plug in and you will see that the fridge is going to be powered by a car. Like I said, you can buy a car. You don't need to have a generator at your home. You use your car. That's the car. So is the microsonic device? What we have done, like we said, the microsonic device is the invention that we have done and we are trying to protect it. We've embedded it. Yes. And it has got a self-destructive technology. On the 150 wires on this car, if you try to take out 5 of them, classify, you destroy the microsonic device, both of the software and the hardware. That's how we're protecting the technology because we couldn't get a patent.
So more like it.
Yes. It's one right now. It's on.
Oh yeah, they don't make that because they don't like moving parts.
The only moving part that you will see on this car is a reduction gearbox. But you don't have to maintain it.
The generator doesn't help.
The generator doesn't have any moving part. Usually those type of devices are known as 0.8. So you cannot even maintain it, you cannot service it because there is no friction that is happening.
Wow.
We wait on ways on how to protect the technology in the event that we use it. For example, we go in a country We set up a power station, there is a hostile takeover. How do you protect our technology? That's why we took the trade secretary. Our patent is kept, our design is kept, the recipe is kept in 3 countries, and the people who are keeping it, they don't even know each other. The second thing, we try to protect the hardware side, because if the engineer removes like a second part, you can trace, you can see that this is a rectifier, this is a microchip. So we put a small amount of a detonator inside, but that cannot harm anyone. But if you just try to tamper with it, you blow it. That's part of the second part. Also on the software, if someone can have the source code, he can try to do reverse engineering. So we work on an algorithm that if you tamper with certain wires on the vehicle, you are going to destroy the Microsoft device. Yeah. So you can't tamper. You cannot tamper with it. If you tamper with it, then you lose your investment. Question: what would be the market price?
So which products do you have on the market?
The car.
Are the batteries on the market?
The green and off-grid machines are on the market, the TVs are on the market, the bikes are on the market, the cars as well, they are on the market.
When people say your microsonic technology can be good, what do you say to that?
You know, thank you very much, because we did not find ways of protecting the IP that I said. As you know, in science we say prove it. It's not about arguments, prove it. So we drive our car to Cairo, live on TV. Everyone watching. That would be enough. And right now we're doing this because we are now on the commercial level. So I understand what you're saying very well. And also the other thing, my brother, that I want to tell you.
He explains that the energy used in this innovation is called microsonic energy. Now, this energy is found in the air, just like many other energies, like radiation energy. But then the energy is very minimal. With current technologies, energy from this sphere, from radio waves, can be extracted and used, but it is going to be very minimal and not really economically feasible to produce in large scale. But Chikumbutsu has found a way to amplify the radio waves and use it in large scale. This is not the first time that Chikumbutsu is using radio energy to power devices. He had done this several years ago, powering a TV set.
This is our self-powered TV that we have designed. The first in the world to have such kind of a technology where a television is powered with a radio frequency. So as you can see right now, I'm powering this television. So this is the first television in the world that uses self-power to say. It is all in one. You don't need to put it on electricity or on solar panel or anything. As it is a complete solution. Behind the television, you can see that there is a microsonic energy device, this box. This is the device that is converting radio frequencies into pure energy. As you can see, the power of the cable was supposed to be here. On all traditional televisions, power comes here, but there's no power, as you can see. The television is working as it is. So in layman, I think this television is we can call it a self-powered television.
The streets of Harare, Zimbabwe's capital, erupted with celebrations, and social media exploded with reactions. The energy companies went quiet. Now, I can already hear some of you typing, but is this not made in China? Well, let me ask you something. Where is your iPhone made? Where does Tesla build many of its cars? Even Apple and Tesla, two of the most innovative.
Hold on.
American companies, they manufacture in China. You see, Chikumbutsu isn't just building one car. He's created something much more bigger, an energy system that could power any vehicle around the world. And he is ready to partner with major auto manufacturers to transform the entire industry. Think about that for a moment. Every car on the road powered by infinite clean energy. Now, I know what you're thinking. This has to be fake, right? Yes, that's what some experts said before, until they witnessed this with their own eyes. Now, let me explain to you how this works. Here's where it gets fascinating. You know how your radio picks up music from thin air? Those are radio frequencies, invisible waves traveling all around us. Chikumbutsu figured out how to turn these waves into pure energy. Think of it like a radio that plays power instead of music. Now, generally, the systems to extract energy from this method already exist in this world, but they are economically not feasible and are very minute that can hardly power any device. But Chikumbutsu has figured out a way to amplify this energy and make it economically available, meaning that a car like this has no range. It means it can go as far as it can until you have a tire puncture or you have a mechanical problem. In our last video, we said that scientists never understood how this was possible, and that's the reason why his technology was not given a patent. So what happens next when energy becomes as free as air? Who loses power? Who gains it? And why are some of the world's biggest companies suddenly very, very nervous? Now, this story isn't over yet. In fact, it is just the beginning. And I want to know, what would you do if you have access to unlimited energy? And if you want to know how innovations like this are reshaping our world, hit the like button and see you in my next video. Ciao.
All right. I'm sorry I was going off into dreamland for a second or two. But now we're done. I'm going to go into, let's see, my final comment. So here we are, 2025. Trump, as I was stating in the beginning, was threatening Palestine to bomb the hell out of it, the hell out of it with the mother of all bombs, like having 12 atomic bombs that hit Nagasaki and Hiroshima in 1940. Not one time, but they're looking at it about 4 or 5 times based on the video that I've seen of that. Then we go into Traore, which is the first sitting president to ever mention the Black Hebrew Israelites and what need to be done with them to make sure that they have their place in history and in the Bible and on a geopolitical scale that is unmatched to anyone that does not belong to these fake white Jews that belong to us. And everything that they've been getting, all of the respect, being the so-called Jews and the biblical narrative that goes along with that, belong to us. And so with that being said, it's very important to understand the past and know the present to predict the future. We cannot do what we're doing and continue to think that we're going to go somewhere. We're not going anywhere but around in a circle. We need to turn back to our ancestors and honor them and bless them so that they can bless us beyond measure. And we need to just follow the law of the Torah based on what we know. Justice, righteousness, and truth. Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding in all ways, power to the people, not the person, because we are one and the same. All for one, one for all. There is no separation. And the more we become more united, the more we'll be powerful beyond measure. That's our blessing, and that's our curse. We are blessed when we are united, and you can see that in the Sahel states. They stay together. Who's gonna come in and do what? Nothing but get a bullet in the head. But if we become divided and weak, there you go. United we stand and take over. Divided we fall and stay in this same shithole. Real simple to understand. Real simple. So with that, Brother Maurice, if you're here, I'll see you tomorrow with Sister Cassie, and we're gonna be one, man. This is the geopolitical, economic, historical world, and negative. Um, I guess I can say stereotype or negative viewpoints of black people and who we are. We need to wake up out of that. What we talked about last Sunday with Sister Catherine. Break that spell of ignorance with knowledge, foolishness with wisdom. That's it. Don't make this shit up. So with that, I bid you guys farewell and looking forward to next week because I'm tired in the dog, man. I really am. 3 hours, 11 o'clock at night, wherever you are. God bless you and stay safe. And always remember, for the next 24/7, 365, stay black.